Welcome to our overview of the APA citation format. In this video, we'll be considering three parts of using APA: the technical requirements of setting up your paper, how to create in-text citations, and how to create reference list citations. Timestamps in the description allow you to jump forward to a particular topic. APA is a citation format most commonly used by fields related to the behavioral and social sciences, and is the preferred format of the American Psychological Association. Currently, APA is in its 7th edition, but please note that many resources, including a variety of databases, still provide citation examples based upon the 6th edition, and there are some changes that exist between the two. We can start to see those changes in how to set up your paper in APA. The 7th edition provides examples for both a professional paper and for a student paper. We'll be taking a closer look at the setup of the student paper. Setting up your paper. We'll begin with the title page. You'll notice that there is no longer a running head. Now you just need a page number in the upper right-hand corner of all of your pages. The first thing you'll want to add to your title page is your title, and that goes 5 spaces down from the top of the page. The title gets bolded and all major words get capitalized. Then you'll space down 3 times and write your name on the next line. Then comes your department name, followed by your university, and then the title of your course, and then your professor's name and date of submission. You'll next move on to the body of your paper. Your second page begins with the title, and again, this is bolded, and all major terms of the title are capitalized. Now, within the body, it is not uncommon for an APA paper to use headings to differentiate topics within the paper, and there are certain rules that you must consider. Headings are a way of communicating relationships and hierarchies to your reader. A Level 1 heading gets centered and bolded, while a Level 2 heading is left aligned and bolded. So Level 1 would be the broader idea, and Level 2 would be the related narrower idea. For example, I may want to discuss anxiety disorders. This is my larger idea, and so its heading is centered and bolded. But I also may want to discuss particular types of anxiety disorders, such as generalized anxiety disorder and obsessive-compulsive disorder. These become my Level 2 headers and are left aligned and bolded. After the body of the paper, you'll end with a references list. You write references, center it, and the text is bolded. Then you'll add all the references included in your paper, making sure to do it in an alphabetical order. It should represent all of your in-text citations, so if it's mentioned in your paper, it needs to appear on the references page. We format the references page by using what is called a hanging indent. That means the first line is left aligned with all subsequent lines of an entry indented. We will learn more about how to create the references that go on this page later in the video. Edition 7 has simplified the process of setting up your paper, but there are still important in-text and reference rules you'll need to follow. In-text citations. An in-text citation is a citation that is provided in the body of the paper. You'll first need to assess how many authors are responsible for the research you wish to cite. With 1 or 2 authors, you list each name. But for 3 or more authors, you'll give the name of the first author mentioned, followed by et al. And you'll need to do this every time you mention information that comes from a source. So you're not just crediting once, but you'll have to provide credit repeatedly throughout the paper. The exception to this is a long-form paraphrase, which we'll talk about shortly. Now, there are 2 ways to present an in-text citation: narrative and parenthetical. With the narrative form, you are referencing your research within the body of the paper, so the citation becomes a part of what is being written. With the parenthetical form, you're providing credit outside the body of the paper, so the credit exists independent of what is being written. This is how you handle credit for research that you are paraphrasing or putting into your own words. For example, let's say that we are writing a paper on whether smartphone usage has an impact on impulse control. We found a relevant article and we see that there are 2 authors. So we know we'll have to write out both authors' names. we can write it as a narrative in-text citation. An example being Schultz, Van Endert, and Maurer, 2020, in parentheses, argue that the omnipresence of smartphones among adolescents and adults give rise to the questions about excessive use and personality factors which are associated with heavier engagement with these devices. As you can see, the names of the authors are incorporated into the sentence structure. But we can also write it as a parenthetical in-text citation. An example being, research suggests that the omnipresence of smartphones among adolescents and adults give rise to the questions about excessive use and personality factors which are associated with heavier engagement with these devices. Schultz, Van Endert, and Maurer, 2020, and this is in parentheses. And here the names of the authors are given after the sentence is complete. Rules and exceptions. For direct quotations, meaning quotations that are taken word from your source, you also need to provide a page number. So using the same source that was mentioned previously, our citation for a direct quotation would look like this. We have our author, year, and page number displayed as a narrative in-text citation, and we have that same information displayed as a parenthetical in-text citation. But what to do if your source doesn't have a page number? In that case, you count the paragraph number and then cite that in place of the page number. In this example, our information comes from paragraph 1. Another rule that applies to the body of the paper is how to write numbers. The general rule is that 1 through 9 are expressed as words, and numbers 10 and above are expressed as numerals. So here you can see that the 6 is spelled out, while the 23 is written in numeral form. An exception to this rule is that you use numerals to express time, dates, and ages. For example, you can see that the 6 is spelled out since we are referring to an age group. But there is also an exception to the exception. You never use numerals to start a sentence. You always write it out as words. An example is 6-year-olds are commonly thought to enjoy eating ice cream, with 6 spelled out because it's the first word in the sentence. Okay, so you'll remember our rule from earlier that an in-text citation must occur every time a source is used. An exception to that is if one source is used in a long-form paraphrase. For example, here we wrote a paragraph that is based on just one source, and so we give credit the first time we mention the information from that source. But because all subsequent sentences are a continuation of a thought related to that information, you don't have to do a citation at the end of each sentence. The exceptions to this are if you start another paragraph or if you incorporate another source. The long-form paraphrase is definitely a more complicated concept, so just remember that when in doubt, it's always better to overcite than to undercite. Now that we've looked at in-text citations, we'll turn our attention to the reference list citations. Reference page citations. The 4 core elements that you'll build your reference citation around are author, year, title, and source. And because most of your research will come from scholarly academic articles in the databases, you'll also likely have what is called a DOI. DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier, and it helps us locate an article after the fact. Not all academic articles will have a DOI, but most that were published after 2008 will. So here's how we create a reference citation from an academic article. First, we write the author's name using last name and then initials. So here, the authors of the article are Britt Cole, Alexis Zieler, and Sarah Arter. So we'll write Cole, B, period, comma, Zieler, A, period, comma, and Arter, S, period. Next, we'll give the year of publication, and that goes in parentheses. So here, we'll write 2020 in parentheses followed by a period. Please note that you should only include the year even though in this case, a month is also listed as part of the publication date. For the next part of the entry, we'll put in the title of the article. A somewhat different rule in APA, especially if you're used to MLA, is that we only capitalize the first word. If it's a title with a subtitle, then you also capitalize the first word after the colon. So here, our title is Role Reversal Mentoring, Case Study of an Active Approach to Faculty Growth. So we capitalize the R in role and the C in case. Then we'll list our source, which is the name of the publication in which the article appeared. For that, you'll capitalize all major words and the publication title will be italicized. So here we put Journal of Nursing Education. Then we'll list the volume and issue of the source, if it's provided, and in this case it is. Volume numbers are italicized and issue numbers are not. We follow that with a comma and then list the page numbers of the article. And finally, we come to our DOI. Typically, academic journals will list their DOI at the top of or near the top of their first page. APA Edition 7 specifies that we must begin our DOI entry as https://doi.org and then enter in the number. If it converts to a hyperlink, APA 7 says that's fine. So if you suddenly see a hyperlink, don't worry. If there is no DOI and the article came from the database, you simply leave off the DOI from the citation. There's no reason to add in a URL. Everything else remains the same and the citation ends after the page numbers. Now for books, you may be surprised that some also have a DOI. This isn't always the case, but has been gaining in popularity. So to cite a book with a DOI, you'll do the following. Last name of the author, and then their initials, year of publication, title of the book, again capitalizing only the first word as well as the first word of a subtitle, if there is one, and you'll also notice that the book title gets italicized. Then comes the publisher, and then the DOI. For a book without a DOI, simply eliminate the DOI and end the citation after the name of the publisher. Websites follow a similar format. We'll start with the author's name. This can be an individual or a group, or it can be a corporation or an agency. So here we have price, D, period. Then you'll list the date, which here is March 23rd, 2018. The format is to have the year, followed by the month, and then the day, followed by a period. If no date is given, which can be common on websites, simply write in N.D. period. Next is the title, again only capitalizing the first word of the title and the first word of the subtitle if there is one. A change from 6th to the 7th edition of APA is that now you have to list the name of the organization responsible for the website if there is one given, and there is in this case, so here we're going to write Medium. Then you simply put the address and it's fine if it becomes a hyperlink. Either hyperlinked or non-hyperlinked is acceptable under APA, and there is now no longer a need to put retrieve from, just the address is enough. While academic articles, books, and websites will comprise most of your research, there may be times when you have a unique source that you'll need assistance in citing. One helpful tool is OWL Purdue APA 7th edition, which provides citation guidance not only on print materials, but also a wide variety of electronic media. You can also contact the Rothrock Library for assistance in creating your citations. This concludes our look at APA citations. If you need any further assistance, please contact the library at 610-799-1150 and speak with a librarian. Thanks for watching.